What about chickens?
Well, they're sentient individuals too. I'm here to speak up for all non-human animals.
I'm just saying chickens seem like they only have one purpose, and that's to be eaten. Like, what do chickens do?
Well, that's no different to saying that black people only have a purpose to be slaves, right?
If someone from a marginalised group is supporting the oppression of another marginalised group, that's not the flex that you think it is.
Oh, Miss Tash Peterson. Like mother, like daughter, huh? It wasn't enough for Miss Katie to pull the racism card, right? The racism is the same as animal slaughter, obviously, right? You had to go and do it too. Join her in this fight in favor of racism, because that's exactly what is happening. You're crying and complaining that people are labeling you a racist. Well, that's what happens when you go around being racist. That's what happens when you say these ridiculous things, saying that black peoples are equivocal to chickens, that slavery is equivalent to taking eggs from a chicken. That is what happens, Miss Peterson. Now, before a bunch of y'all get your panties in a bunch about me calling her that vegan teacher's daughter, what you need to understand is I'm well aware she's not actually her biological daughter by any means, nor is she even adopted by that vegan teacher. It is just a nickname that has been popularized by various people to the point where that vegan teacher and Tash Peterson actually refer to each other as mother and daughter themselves.
Hi everybody, so sorry that we are late. We are having technical problems. Look who's beside me. Hi sweetie, how are you?
Hello, hey mom, how you going?
Hi, okay.
We're topless.
We're topless. We're topless, so you'll go vegan.
Now, just to give you guys who are unfamiliar with Tash Peterson, who are new here, maybe have never heard of her really, just know a little bit about her maybe. Here is your visual representation of the kind of person she is. Please enjoy.
You're not vegan! You're no different to a Nazi serial killer! Louis Vuitton are responsible for the murder of cows, sheep, goats, horses, pigs, dogs, and bees. Get out! Why are you so triggered? If you were happy and proud of your views, watch Dominion on YouTube. See what really happens to human beings. Animal abusers! Total losers!
Abusers! Animal abuser!
Hey! Oi! What the fuck? What the fuck? This is so wrong! Green! What the fuck is wrong with you? You're laughing! You're a fucking psychopath! You smile because you have blood in your eyes and you're a piece of shit!
So now that the cat's out of the bag, and now that we are quite familiar with Miss Peterson, let's talk about these racism allegations just a little bit. So she was interviewing, well actually in this case the table was flipped. She was actually being interviewed by somebody quite intelligent. Now I wish I could have found the full video so I could talk about it, but I dug and dug for a while on this guy's TikTok, and he just has so many videos. Like, it was a nightmare trying to find it, so I kind of gave up. I may eventually make a video talking about the full interview, because I am curious to see what else goes on in there, because I'm assuming she probably got schooled, which is why she's not showing the full interview. It only seems to be the logical thing. The guy talking to her seemed like an intelligent fellow that was ready to debate her, which normally the people she preys upon in these interviews are people that are not prepared to debate her, people that have not really thought deeply on the logistics of consuming meat. So when she questions these people, they're so unprepared and they seem to completely fumble under the very simple questions. For instance, of being asked, what's the difference between a chicken and a person? Simple answer to that is chickens are not sapients. They may be sentient like bees, which you guys are perfectly fine with being enslaved by the billions. So sentience clearly isn't some sort of qualifier for animal protection and not being eaten, and we are sapients. There you go. You win the argument right there, because the second they tried to defend that, well, there's no difference. Well, okay, then stop eating avocados and stop eating apples and stop eating soy, because all of these trees that produce these fruits and stuff that you consume, cultivated by bees, by the billions, that die and are sentient, and are forced to work for you, which is animal exploitation, which you are against. So there you go. The vast majority of vegan food that you consume is no longer accessible for you. But that's the thing. The people that she interviews don't have these answers in their brain somewhere. So they get stumped by these really silly questions with very easy responses. Now on to the actual clip itself.
What about chickens?
Well, they're sentient individuals too. I'm here to speak up for all non-human animals.
I'm just saying chickens seem like they only have one purpose, and that's to be eaten. Like, what do chickens do?
Well, that's no different to saying that black people only have a purpose to be slaves, right?
Oh, hi there, Miss Peterson. Have a seat. I'm the Curl King, and I am about to, that vegan teacher your ass, take you to class and school you. I hope you came prepared with your notebook so you can take some notes. Today's lesson is going to be on how to not be a racist asshole. I gave this lesson to Miss Katie just a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, it was not well received. She did not seem to take that lesson seriously, but I'm hoping that you may do better, so I'm going to give you that opportunity. But before we get to that, I do want to address something very important. So this is about the chicken comment itself. As I mentioned previously, there's a vast difference between a chicken and a black person. But what's important to really understand right now is the question that he asked that you didn't answer at all, because for some reason, whenever you guys are presented with a question, that a genuine question, you choose to just not answer it, and instead you deflect by using some bullshit analogy that's not comparable because of reasons we'll get to shortly. Now, the question, what are a chicken's purpose besides to be eaten? Now, there's a couple different ways to answer this. Because the fact of the matter is, chickens are a very defenseless animal that, yes, their point of existence is, to live like as an individual. True. However, we have this thing called food chain, really. And chickens are what we consider to be prey animals, just like many other animals like deer, like rabbits. Most herbivores are prey animals. There's some that aren't, actually quite a few that aren't, to be honest. There's some big ass ones. I'm talking elephants, talking hippos. Like, they ain't really prey animals. I mean, that is a mission. That is a big hunt for a pack of lions or something to go for. They're not really prey animals in that sense, but there are quite a few that are, like a chicken. And as far as nature goes, how the environment works, their purpose really is to be a prey animal. Like just in the wild. Now we're talking about domestic chickens and wild chickens separately, but wild chickens really, they kind of just are food for animals because they're easy, right? They're easy to pick off. They're easy to, if a wild coyote sees a chicken, that chicken is as good as dead. They are nourishment for carnivores. Now, it's a sad thing to say, but I'm not saying that the chicken's only purpose is to be eaten, but it is like a major part of nature for animals like chickens to provide food for bigger carnivores. It's just reality. Same with certain other animals, but there are prey animals that do more than be eaten, but they have more purposes. They do more. Can't think of an example, but I know they exist. If any of you guys have one, please feel free to comment that. But I will give you examples of other animals that have more purposes for, the upkeep of an ecosystem besides, being food. Like a bee, for instance, which you guys are fine with exploiting and having die by the billions for your benefits, which is extremely ironic, but whenever addressed with this contradiction, you just dodge it. We're not talking about bees. We're not talking about that. We're talking about you being vegan. You always change the subject because you don't have a response to this, because the fact of the matter is, and I keep saying this and I will continue to say this until one day y'all present me with an irrefutable argument that says it's okay to enslave bees, which will never happen because your ideology says that sentient beings should not be exploited, and bees are sentient. It's a fact, an irrefutable fact, that they have complex social systems, hierarchies, communications within each other, and even partnerships with humans and their beekeepers. They know that they are providing honey for us, and in exchange, they get a safe place to live in their colonies without issue. Protection from things like bears that would come and mess them all up, destroy their ecosystem, destroy their habitats, whatever it is. But yet, all vegans are fine with exploiting them because the vast majority of the foods that they eat are only readily available in such high quantity because we import billions upon billions of bees to the United States from all over the world so that you can eat your avocado. So if either of you wants to explain why you don't care about that, please do. I'd love to hear it. Now, it goes without saying, a black person is not a chicken. And Tash always wants to argue that there's no moral difference between a chicken and a black person, or any person for that matter. But we'll get into the weeds of that shortly. The only thing I want to say at this exact moment is, I think it's just insane that the first thing in her mind, instead of answering his question, is analyze the color of his skin and then target that, just like Vegan Teacher has done to me. He asks a genuinely intellectual question, and instead of trying to respond with an intellectual answer, she says, oh, well, you're black, basically, and your people were slaves. You should be upset too, pretty much, which is fucking bizarre.
So this man states that the only purpose for chickens is to be exploited and eaten, and no one cares. Yet when I challenge that mindset, I'm labelled as a racist? Let's be clear. I never compared black people to chickens. I exposed the flawed logic that justifies oppression. Saying that one group exists solely for the benefit of another is the exact same mindset that has fueled human slavery and oppression throughout history. However, there is nothing wrong with comparing non-human animals to humans. We are all animals. We all feel pain, we all have families, and we all value our lives.
Why the fuck you lying?
No, seriously though, why are you lying, actually? Like, you literally said, like, in the same breath that you never compared black people to chickens, and then you talked about how you compared black people to chickens, and then you also said how there's nothing wrong with comparing humans to other animals because we're all animals. Like, what? Do you not hear the contradiction where you just sat like flustered when recording this, that like you just didn't know what to say to save face here and you just completely fumbled the bag? Because that seems to be what happened. You literally said exactly what I just said. Like, that is bizarre to me. But yes, you did compare black people to chickens, like verbatim. You literally said, when this guy said, well, what's the purpose of chickens really other than to be eaten, and you responded with, well, that's no different to saying a black person's only purpose is to be a slave. That is a comparison. Do you not know what a comparison is? Have you ever drawn a Venn diagram? Like, go back. You really do need to take this lesson seriously, Miss Tash Peterson. I mean, this is evolved from a lesson of not being a racist asshole to just being a logically consistent human being that doesn't contradict themselves within 2 sentences of each other. That is bizarre. I say that it's bizarre, which is weird that I keep saying that, because the fact of the matter is I'm actually contradicting myself, because it's not bizarre, because that's what these vegans do. These crybabies, not your regular schmegular vegan for personal reasons, but your crybaby ethical vegan, everybody should be vegan, everybody should join my lifestyle because my lifestyle is the only correct way to live because I'm a narcissistic asshole. Those people. And let me just say, she doesn't retract the statement or anything. She doesn't like say, oh, you know what, what I said was a little bit too far. Like a logical person, somebody that realizes they've made a mistake. No, she doubles down on this. When somebody rightfully tries to kind of call her out, she doubles down on it and actually just makes it worse, which is crazy because she's trying to say she's not racist, which it's just so bizarre because she only seems even more racist after she responds.
So someone from a marginalized group is supporting the oppression of another marginalized group. That's not the flex that you think it is. You are actively promoting the exploitation, slavery, abuse, and murder of non-human people. That's horrible and shameful. So TikTok have now restricted access to my content in France due to it being considered illegal hate speech. The irony of this is astounding, since I'm trying to stop the hatred and oppression towards non-human animals. If this doesn't expose how deep speciesism runs, I don't know what does.
You absolutely deserve that penalty. I cannot express that enough. This is hate speech. You are a racist. You are saying racist garbage. And then you double down on it. You show no remorse. You don't show that you're going to improve. You don't just show that you are going to do anything better on this platform. You deserve to be completely fucking banned if you keep up this kind of behavior. It is disgusting. I mean, if your protests and you're going around shaking your ass and all that stuff and destroying people's afternoons and evenings by being an insufferable piece of garbage isn't enough to get you banned, then I think taking it a step further by just being a blatant racist and spreading this hatred, this hateful propaganda, this a black person is a chicken bullshit, and then also trying to go as far as correcting a black person that speaks out about, hey, I eat chicken, you know? Like, and then trying to say, oh, well, you should be ashamed of yourself because your black ancestors were slaves and were oppressed and they're just like chickens. Like, that is crazy. That is so crazy. First off, bro, the way they roll up with such passion, such energy, such fire and passion in their eyes almost makes them look intimidating. But then you remember they're vegan.
Are you celebrating Christmas with a Holocaust? Non-human animals in the meat, dairy and egg and animal abusing industries are raped, enslaved, tortured, abused and murdered.
Yo, and the way she puts so much emphasis on Christmas makes you think that last year Santa like came down the chimney or something and like shot her dog and then left and said, ho, 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 see you later, bitch.
This is the largest Holocaust in history, with 3 trillion animals brutally murdered every year for human food consumption. Listen to their screams. These are pigs inside carbon dioxide gas chambers. If you're not vegan, you're no different to a Nazi serial killer. Non-vegans are no different to Nazis. If you're not vegan, you're an animal abuser. Watch Dominion on YouTube for the truth. Watch Dominion. Animals want to live.
It's a private property. You can't do that. You can't do that.
Can't do what?
It's a private property. Just
Okay, I will leave.
But yes, Tash, you know, she's compared obviously eating meat and stuff like that to the Holocaust many times, more times than I can count. But I don't think she has, as far as I've seen, has never really actually just gone out and blatantly called people Nazis. I feel like that's something you can't do. Like, I don't think you can do that. Like, can you? Like, can you just go like out in public and just call everybody Nazis without like, I don't know. Like, I feel like you have to be disturbing the peace at that point. Like, calling everybody like stupid or bad or, you know, mean or horrible or something is one thing, but then calling everybody Nazis, people who were historically known for committing mass atrocities to tons of different people and communities and unspeakable things and calling them all that, I feel like that's taboo, but what do I know? I have 2 major criticisms, well, 3 major criticisms of this. Is I love to expose the hypocrisy, and they always give me like new ways to expose the hypocrisy of their shitty little arguments, if you can even call it that. And the first thing I'm wondering is, if we're all no different than Nazis, then why are you still alive? Because if I'm not mistaken, Nazis were pretty privy to killing people that disagreed with them. Basically, if you're not one of us, then you die, you know, sort of thing. And clearly you are not among the non-vegan party. So it does seem like you are in direct opposition to us. And if we are no different than Nazis, I'm sure somebody would have done away with you by now, but that hasn't happened. So clearly that must not be true, right? I'm sure Adolf Hitler or any of his Nazis wouldn't hesitate to discard of you, especially when you're going around preaching this anti-Nazi, in quotations, propaganda. Yeah, that'd be a big no-no to the Nazi party. But, you know, moving on. And then 2, if we're no different than Nazis, then why are you so comfortable antagonizing us and intruding on our spaces and performing these acts that would potentially threaten your life if we were no different than Nazis? You're very comfortable doing that, so must not be true, is it? And then thirdly, why on earth would you go to this public location spewing this bullshit when there are innocent children around, and then obviously just the general populace, people that don't want to hear this nasty, disgusting shit, but do it anyway, just absolutely barge in and intrude and ruin so many people's afternoon by being this disgusting, obnoxious hypocrite. Why would you do that? That's not being very ethical towards human animals. Would you do the same thing to cows? Like, would you go and just go to a barn and just start screaming at cows? Like, I doubt it. Or God forbid you do this with like some horses and you might spook them and then one of them kicks you through the ring. But anyway, let's let this lunatic continue.
If you ask me to leave, are you asking me to
Animal
leave?
abusers! Animal abuser!
All right, Jack, my guy, I have to lay it to you straight here, dog. That was not very intimidating nor convincing. You sound like a robot. Go, animal abuser! animal abuser. It's like, I don't know, like, is that your alarm or something? Like, you just hearing like your doorbell or something at your front door, like playing in your head over and over again, and it's just like when somebody rings the doorbell, it just goes, animal abuser, animal abuser, and you come running outside like, get out of here, you animal abusing Nazi.
Animal abuser. Serial killer.
No different to a Nazi. You're supporting the largest Holocaust in history. Animals want to live. Animals feel pain. Animals feel pain. If you're not vegan, you're an animal abusing Nazi. This is the largest Holocaust in history. You support this Holocaust. You have blood on your hands if you're not vegan. Stop supporting this Holocaust. You fucking animal abusers. Stop fucking laughing at their screams, you disgusting psychopathic assholes.
Jesus Christ, lady, calm down.
These animals are so innocent. Listen to them scream. What the fuck is wrong with you if you're laughing? You're a fucking psychopath. You smile because you have blood on your hands because you're a guilty piece of shit. Listen to their screams.
All right, so first off, this would definitely be considered disturbing the peace in the United States, like without doubt. And she's been arrested for disturbing the peace or disorderly conduct, kind of the same thing. Many times before, this wouldn't be a first if she was arrested, but she is leaving in this case, but she is also still shouting at the top of her lungs. And you got people covering their ears, like people that are just not having it. And this is the kind of shit that I'm talking about. Like, she wants to cry, bitch, and moan when somebody spills a drink on her, right? Which, again, I don't condone that sort of behavior, and I also don't condone Tasha's behavior. I think it's all bad, but she wants to make herself a victim when people do that to her, when she is doing this shit to other people. These people, you think they're having a good time? Do you think that they are enjoying their afternoon hearing you scream and belting in their ears, calling them Nazis? Do you think they're happy to have to explain this to their kids later, be like, yeah, that was a crazy vegan lady named Tash Peterson who's an absolute deranged lunatic, and they're like, Daddy, what's a Nazi? And then they have to explain to their kid what a fucking Nazi is, or avoid it altogether. Now their kids are just gonna wonder forever, maybe go home and Google it and then discover some atrocities that, you know what I mean? Like, you could create this ripple effect by doing this. Like, you could be causing some behind the scenes harm that you have no idea that is happening, and this is not exactly in tune with your beliefs, right? Your ethical position against the exploitation and abuse of animals. Well, you're exploiting and abusing humans right now by doing this. Like, you just are, straight up. Like, these kids don't need to have their day ruined by you, right? They don't need to be told that they're Nazis by you. Like, that goes without saying. Like, how could you conjure this idea in your mind and think it's a good one and then run with it and go out in public, get all your camera crew together and get all your vegan cultists together and go perform this act? Like, seriously, how many mental barriers of saying, no, this is a bad idea, no, this is a bad idea, do you have to get through? Or does that just not happen, like, in a normal person's brain? Anyway, I'm assuming maybe vegan psychosis maybe knocks down those barriers and you get to just pass right through them, from bad idea to I'm doing it anyway, without any sort of in between. Now, the screaming is crazy. Now, I've been saying for the longest time, I'm quite convinced that Miss Tash Peterson does believe in what she's out here preaching to people. I feel like she does get very passionate. She puts her heart and soul into this. It could just be an act, but if it is an act, she deserves an Oscar, like, immediately. Like, go get her one, you know? But she does, obviously, she does put on some performances too. So I'm not gonna say it's not all fabricated, because there was that time, you know, that she was like fake crying, like that happened. Like, these are real things, you know? And so obviously there is an act of, or a degree of performance that goes with this, clearly. But I just don't know if you can make that much of a fool of yourself and not at least somewhat believe in what you're preaching. I mean, there are some people that have done some other things, but they're wacky in a very different way. This is passion, you know? And she has a bunch of people that she strings along with her doing this, and it's like, is she just lying to all of them? Like, no, because a lot of these people actually are truly vegan. Like, I've looked into some of her group, her posse, and they are also truly vegan. So it leads me to believe that she does definitely believe in what she's preaching. She's just obviously still a giant hypocrite on top of it. But yeah, the passionate screaming was bizarre. Like, I was just blown away. I couldn't help but laugh. Like, she actually just was so ridiculous. Like, I knew she was ridiculous, but this was like a new level for me. I almost couldn't believe what I was hearing. But that's Tash Peterson for you. So at the end of the day, we really shouldn't be all that surprised. This is what she does. This is what she's known for. And the sad thing is, I've said this before, that I don't think that being vegan is a bad thing, right, for the world. I think, you know, a select amount of people being vegan actually has a net positive. However, I don't believe that everybody being vegan would be a net positive, not even close. I think it would probably be the exact opposite, a huge detriment. But so ultimately, you know, people trying to convert others or teach others about veganism isn't inherently a bad thing. They go about it in a good way that isn't all about this moral superiority or putting down people that do eat meat, you know, and comparing them to some of the worst people in history. I don't see an issue with that. In fact, I can see that as a good thing. Like, I know you guys, I brought up Freely a few times before, and she does have a dark side to her. She really does. She, however, unlike, you know, Vegan Teacher or That Vegan Teacher, though, tends to keep the dark side under wraps, you know. And when you look at like just her main channel, for instance, you just look at her main channel, you don't go bother and like searching, you know, her other stuff, and you just see what she promotes on her main channel. It's like, oh, you know, here's food items that you could eat. Here's like a bunch of different cool recipes that you can make on these types of, you know, diets. And obviously these diets are incomplete. If you just ate what she ate, you probably wouldn't be healthy, so I don't recommend that. But the thing is, at least put those options out there. Tash, Vegan Teacher, a lot of these other vegan activists aren't really doing that. And the fact of the matter is, the only way you're going to really convince somebody to become vegan is to give them those options and let them decide for themselves if it's worth it, if it's possible for them to do, or if it's something they really want to. This isn't it. Being belligerent and insulting people and getting in their face and just shouting and screaming and attacking them verbally, just verbal assault, that's never gonna work. I don't understand, like, do you need to go to some sort of class to like teach you something about human psychology? Because clearly if you ever did take a human psychology course or something, you fucking failed or didn't pay attention to any of the material and used fucking the internet to get all of your answers, but you'd clearly learned nothing. This is basic human psychology. People do not respond well to belligerence, to being attacked. Would you do this to your dog, right? I'm gonna do what you guys do right now. Oh, would you do this to a person? Well, I'm gonna do this to you. Would you do this to your dog? Would you just scream at your dog all day when they don't do things that you want them to do? When you want your dog to, I don't know, learn or perform a trick, are you just gonna scream and scream and scream at them? No. That could potentially work on a dog because, you know, obviously their brain is a lot simpler than ours and they might just do it out of fear. But is that what you want? Your dog to just be doing things because they're afraid of you? At this point, Tash, you really need to look within yourself and really understand if you really do care about helping and protecting animals, then you should sit down with all your vegan friends and start coming up with ways that can genuinely help animals, because this isn't it.
You're trespassing now. If you're not vegan, you're an animal abuser. Louis Vuitton are responsible for the murder of cows, sheep, goats, foxes, minks, ducks, and geese. Louis Vuitton have blood on their hands, and so do you if you're not vegan.
I know you all thought that vegan teacher, Miss Katie, was probably the most outlandish, insane vegan activist on the internet. And although she has an incredible track record of absurd opinions and outrageous feats, like harassing Uber drivers.
Did you know that in the dairy industry, like with the baby cows, like in the dairy industry, every time you drink milk, that they take the baby cows away from the mothers?
Belittling sexual assault survivors.
If you don't like the fact that you were pinned down and assaulted, why do you pay people to do this to other females?
Oh, and comparing child endangerment to eating meat.
If this had been somebody covered in sauce, the child would have had the same reaction.
How could we forget about that one? But I'm here to tell you that vegan teacher is a fucking pushover in comparison to this lesser known activist by the name of Vegan Booty. Now, based on the stomach turning evidence I've accumulated, I'm inclined to put on the tinfoil condom and connect the dots left out by Miss Katie. It seems to me that Vegan Booty may have been the deranged supervillain sidekick that actually does all the dirty work, if you know what I mean, that Miss Katie was referring to in her recent video about throwing it back and spreading it out for the animals on OnlyFans. Currently, I have a plethora of evidence suggesting this, but the most important ones to consider is that 1, she has an OnlyFans. 2, she has posted several videos of her protesting with no clothes on. And 3, she literally goes by Vegan Booty. Like, I think that does it at that point. But anyway, let's actually talk about what's to come in today's video. And let me warn you now, bucket to pukin is definitely required. And if I had a BetterHelp sponsor or something along those lines, I'd probably recommend that too. Miss Vegan Booty had decided to let it all hang out one day and barged into a Louis Vuitton store covered in only her own period blood and a thong to protest wearing animal skin and blood, I guess. Now I'm gonna try my best to show y'all as much of this as I can without getting slapped in the dong with the demonetization hammer. So bear with me as Tash Peterson puts her bare vegan ass on full display for everyone to see.
Yeah, let's go.
Who was murdered for your leather bag, down jacket, and woolen jumper? If you buy animal skin, fur, wool, feathers, and scales, you are paying for the most horrific animal abuse on this planet. You are contributing to a Holocaust.
So yeah, just like that, we got straight to the point. No reason to keep y'all waiting. There it is on full display. Obviously, I have it censored because YouTube will demonetize me otherwise. And I'm actually probably still at some risk of demonetization even for showing the video as it is with the, the cover up, which I hope you guys enjoyed. But yeah, let's talk about that vegan booty. I mean, I think she actually just goes by vegan booty, but I feel like calling her that vegan booty is just, I don't know, that sounds funnier to me. So that's where I may refer to her as throughout this video. But her actual name is Tash Peterson. She is an Australian animal rights activist, as she likes to call herself. But the interesting thing is, which is something we'll explore probably in a later video, but she has actually been basically exiled from several different locations in Australia. So she's been exiled from her hometown, like the place where she actually lives. She cannot go there. And then she's also been banned from several supermarkets, stores, restaurants, and many other types of different places because she is an absolute lunatic of an activist. She goes out there, she spreads her cheeks and takes off her shirt and all that stuff and hoot and holler and all that good stuff. And somehow she also has a team that likes to do this stuff with her. So she's done a bunch of like topless protests and stuff like that where she holds up signs and be like, wearing clothes and wearing purses and stuff, that's murder, it's a Holocaust. You guys are vegan phobic and crazy, insane. Like that vegan teacher is a nutcase too, right? But the thing is, that vegan teacher I feel is mostly just talk. She's all bark and no bite for the most part. Like, yeah, she does a little bit of activism here and there. Yeah, she gets in people's fucking cars and bugs the shit out of them while they're just trying to do their job. And then she's mean as fuck to kids on the street. She does some interviews here and there. She meets up with people like kallmekris for some reason when they allow that to happen. Well, I guess they didn't meet up person, but she does try to do that, but so she does get out there, okay? She does bring her activism to the real world and not just within the cyberspace, but not like this. Vegan Booty is a new tier of activism nutcase. She is absolutely clinically insane because she thinks some of these ridiculous stunts that she's been doing, I mean, gosh, she's tied herself to railings and stuff like that at like bullfighting competitions, which also I don't think that's a good thing. I don't agree with that sort of stuff. So good on you to protest it, but at the same time, it's not really like she's going there like, hey, stop the bullfighting. She's like, hey, be vegan, to a bunch of people that probably couldn't care less about cows, so therefore they're not going to listen to you. But anyway, that's just a little bit of background about her, and I'm really gonna unravel this crazy bitch more in the future. But let's talk about the topic at hand here. So she thinks it's a wise idea to strip basically naked to just a thong pretty much and cover the rest of her chest with her own period blood. Yeah, because that's an idea that crosses a sane person's mind, right? I'm sure everybody thinks, you know what, when I really need to get a point across, I think I'm gonna go out in public like and just cover myself in period blood. That should really send a message that everybody can understand. Obviously that was her logic, and you know what, I get it, right? She's basically, it's a hint, you know, it's an innuendo. She's basically saying, hey guys, this is basically what you're doing. You're killing animals and you may as well be wearing their blood, you know, because you have blood all over you. Louis Vuitton has blood all over their stores. I'm just representing that. This is what you're doing. This is the harsh reality of what you're experiencing. Now obviously this is bonkers, right? This is public indecency. It's disgusting. It's something that children's poor little eyes should never see in their lifetime. So I don't know how she thought this was going to go over well. I'm pretty sure every single person in that store just thought to themselves, wow, what a crazy bitch, old dumbass bitch. You know, like, she's insane. She's a nutcase. Why would I want to be vegan? I want to be like her. See, that's the problem with like some of these vegan activists, and not all of you. I mean, the thing is, most people that are vegan also aren't activists because they understand that their dietary choices are their own and theirs alone. But there are some that are actually, that do try to preach some positive things about veganism, you know? And I'm gonna go ahead and say one positive thing myself, something that these insane, damn near terrorist protesters like that vegan teacher and vegan booty cannot do and actually say something positive and helpful. Yeah, being vegan is actually somewhat good for the world. Not if everybody goes vegan, but it, you know, reducing the amount of consumption of animal products that are not ethically sourced, that's a good thing. Not eating a lot of red meat might save you from developing cancer, heart disease, things like that. So the truth of the matter is, you know, there are some benefits to vegans existing in this world, and I think that's great. But the message that these lunatics are trying to pass off, not really getting through our thick carnivorous skulls, okay? And I don't think it ever will, because most people don't want to change their dietary choices as it is. And then when you have absolute lunatics trying to tell you that you have to, otherwise you're worse than Hitler, you're a murderer and a rapist, then people are going to be extremely turned off to the cause, to the change entirely. But let's resume.
If you're not vegan, you're an animal abuser. Louis Vuitton are responsible for the murder of cows, sheep, goats, foxes, minks, ducks, and geese. Louis Vuitton have blood on their hands, and so do you if you're not vegan. Stop contributing to this animal holocaust. Animals are not clothing. They're not food, entertainment, commodities, machines, or objects. They are not here for us. End this animal holocaust. There is blood on your hands if you're not vegan. Watch Dominion on YouTube for the truth. These animals want to live just like us. They were skinned alive. They were shot in the head. They wanted to live.
You guys don't have permission.
And if you're not vegan, you paid for their brutal murder.
Thank you.
Louis Vuitton have blood on their hands, and so do you if you're not vegan.
Louis Vuitton is a
End
fantastic
the
brand.
animal holocaust. This
Thank you.
is murder. Every
Absolutely.
single product in
Thank
this
you.
store is murder and animal abuse.
You guys can leave now. We ask you guys don't have to
Watch Dominion on YouTube, see the truth.
You guys can leave.
The blood is on your hands.
Thank you very much. That was very entertaining. Thank you very much.
You are an animal abuser if you're not vegan.
Thank you.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. If you are not vegan, then you are an animal abuser. With that being said, I suppose we should all proceed by changing how we eat. Put that fucking hot dog down, that hamburger, throw it in the trash, you know, and just go pick up a fucking piece of corn or some lettuce or some broccoli and just eat that, man. Like, I'm tired of being an animal abuser, you know? It's just not me anymore, you know? It's like, this video that I just watched, this protest, just really changed me. You know, like, I was in that store that day when she came in, and I just, God, after hearing those words and, you know, seeing those bloody boobs, I was like, God, she's a fucking lunatic. Yeah, no, this isn't gonna work. This won't work on anybody, okay? There's not a single person alive that has watched this video, saw your protest, and thought anything that I just said to themselves. I guarantee you that. If anything, they're probably like, yeah, I'm never going vegan. And also, I just want to know, why did you target Louis Vuitton? I mean, like, I get it. You're trying to protest the whole leather clothes making thing, but I feel like that's like one of the worst things to target as a vegan. For the most part, a lot of people are trying to just say that you shouldn't eat meat or whatever and stuff like that. And like, I get it. You should also not turn animals into clothing, I guess. But like, here's the thing, like, nature is nature, okay? Humans are a part of nature as well. We've developed intelligence. We developed tool usage. You know, that's our thing. You know, bipedal motion, you know, all that stuff that went into our genetics and created us and created the ultimate survival machine, because nature is all about survival. Every being, every species is all about the survival of itself, okay? And then as humans, our intelligence stat just went way off the fucking charts, and that allowed us to use things differently, to create things that other animals could not. And of course, we're going to use that because that is a part of our nature. It'd be like being upset at a fucking tiger for using its fucking ability to stealthily move about the jungle and fucking assassinate their dinner for the night. You know, like, what the fuck? They're just using the tools that they have developed because of nature, right? Every species on this planet is going to do that. Now, again, I don't think it's great to not treat animals ethically, right? There are plenty of places, plenty of farms and whatever the fuck in the industry that do not treat animals well. And that sucks. That's awful. I fucking hate that with a passion. And if you were protesting shit like that, people would be on your side. If you were going to like those fucking farms that have been known to be hurtful and harmful and terrible to the fucking animals, people would be on your fucking side of you protesting out. There'd probably be people joining you like, hey, stop this. You know, this is evil. You know, you shouldn't be beating these animals and giving them terrible fucking lives and horrible living conditions. You know, that shit's awful. And that's really what you activists should be going after, because the truth is, going after the masses, especially in ways like this, is never going to get you anywhere. This tree ain't bearing no fruit. Okay, you're not fucking Jesus. You're not fucking God himself. You're not someone that can just change the minds and hearts of every single person on this planet. So why are you even trying? You have to know that your efforts are futile. If anything, they're working against you. All you're doing is creating hate and backlash that is really, really bad for your cause. People are going to be even less empathetic towards ethical treatment of animals and stuff like that because of people like you spreading this sort of shit. Like, I'd probably be a better vegan vegan activist, animal rights activist than you as a non-vegan, and probably a lot of people that are also non-fucking vegan, and they still care about animals, and they still have empathy, and they still want animals to be treated well. But then we also still have to respect that the circle of life is the circle of life. If there were no goddamn carnivores in the world, then the herbivores would overpopulate, eat all the goddamn plants, and then starve to death. There'd be no plants because the herbivores ate them all, and there'd be no herbivores because they all fucking starved to death. The carnivores help keep those populations in fucking check. You know, did you not listen to Mufasa when you watched The Lion King as a kid? Like, he explained it pretty goddamn well, okay? The plants, they photosynthesize, you know, they take in that sweet fucking sunlight and get a little bit of that water shit, and they mix that shit up and make sugar and stuff. They bear fruit, you know, whatever. And then the fucking antelope come by. The antelope, you know, they come hopping by, and they're like, oh, what's this little green fucking thing growing out of the ground? Let me munch on it. Ah, delicious, scrumptious, okay? Cool. And then the fucking carnivores, they show up and they kill the antelope, they eat the antelope, and then the carnivores die. And then their body, right, decomposes, and it gives nutrients and all that good shit to the soil. And then the plants can once again grow again for the circle of life. Pretty simple shit, honestly. Like, I think a third grader could have fucking explained that to you just as well. And it's like these crazy terrorist vegan activists just ignore that in its entirety. Like, no, stop eating animals. Okay, so you don't want life to exist. Because if we did that, life would simply cease to exist as we know it. Like, yeah, there'd still be things that still exist, but they wouldn't be the animals that you know and love today. All those deer and shit, probably gonna go extinct. Cows go extinct. Chickens probably go extinct. Humans probably go extinct, because you just got to think about like the whole, like, this is kind of like a butterfly effect kind of scenario. I know that's more about like time travel, but like you got to think about how important like just bees are. For instance, bees are paramount to like the pollination of plants and stuff like that, which means they are paramount to the survival of herbivores, because without bees and other pollinating insects like butterflies or whatever the fuck else also pollinates things, if they somehow die out because the circle of life gets disrupted, everything's fucked. Okay, now you don't have your fucking plants to eat anymore because they won't fucking grow. So if that's the kind of bleak fallout world that you want to live in, then yeah, keep spewing this fucking nonsense about how everybody needs to be vegan, because that's the sort of thing you would get out if you think every animal, every bug, every whatever the fuck on this planet needs to only eat plants. Well, the plants are fucked, man. Those poor plants. Imagine that. Plants want to live too. How about that? You know what I mean? You think there should be a plant genocide? Are you promoting plant genocide at this point? Just kill all the fucking plants? That's a bunch of bullshit, because they're living things too. And it's also been proven that plants experience some sort of distress when they're being fucking eaten. That's why there's plants that have measures in place to try to avoid being eaten, like having poisonous berries or like really hard shells on there. You know what I mean? Like, they're trying to continue their life cycle as well, and everything that eats them also disrupts that. And doesn't that just suck too? But anyway, guys, we're gonna wrap this up with basically her reaction to being kicked out of the Louis Vuitton, and we'll end it there.
You are contributing to a holocaust if you're not vegan. Louis Vuitton are responsible for the murder of cows, sheep, goats, crocodiles, snakes, minks, foxes, ducks, and geese.
Yo, just a quick intervention here, but how the fuck did she get this many women to not only support her ridiculous ideals, but then to also bust out the gat for everybody to see? Like, what the fuck? All these women out on the street in their fucking lingerie that I assume they didn't get from Louis Vuitton, but that's just probably the most impressive part of this whole thing.
It's just crazy to me that males can be topless in public with no issue at all. He's not arrested, he's not charged, no one says anything. But as soon as a woman does it, it's a huge big issue. She's sexualizing herself, she can be arrested or charged. You know, it's just absolute insanity. I can't believe that this is being used against me when I do my protest.
I have been convicted with 3 criminal offences as a result of a protest that I did last year at a restaurant who had banned all vegans from their venue.
You have blood on your hands!
Okay.
Psychopath! You have blood on your hands! If you're not vegan, you're an animal abuser! Watch Dominion on YouTube for the truth! Listen to their screams! Animal abusers! Total losers! Their bodies! Animals want to live! Animals feel pain! Their bodies! Their lives! Animals want to live!
Well, my fellow sane people who also can't stand annoying ass vegan activists, we're back again, and this time I actually have some pretty good news for y'all. I'm sure you all remember Tash Peterson, as I'm certain it would take a cybernetic mind wipe device to make you forget this insane Australian vegan that runs around flopping her melons in everyone's faces, shouting nonsense about how animals are also non-human people, and how if you're not vegan, you're an animal abuser. So I guess that also makes you a people abuser, I guess, by proxy. Anyway, so yeah, 99% of people on this beautiful blue sphere we call Earth is an animal abuser. Who knew? Now everybody has an easy icebreaker the next time they meet someone. Hey, did you know that I'm an animal abuser? Wow, really? No way, me too. Let's go on a date. Like, let's go to a slaughterhouse together. That'd be totally romantic. But seriously though, I'm convinced that this is exactly how vegan booty, vegan gains, that vegan teacher, and all these other clinically insane vegan activists think of us. They think we just all love going around making pigs, cows, and chickens' lives as miserable as possible because we're just so darn cruel and evil. And you know, the really ironic thing is, I actually had a debate with Vegan Gains where I got to really look into the mind of somebody who is posing as a vegan activist, you know? And the reason why I say posing is because I was very curious about one particular thing, right? Because they believe that everybody should be vegan, and by association, that also means that all animals should be vegan. So my thought is, well, okay, so imagine, you know, all animals get human rights, right? Because that's one of the things that he wanted to talk about. So all animals should have human rights. So I was like, okay, well, all right. Does that mean that they would get the punishments for violating those human rights just as a human would? I mean, how else would those rights be upheld if that wasn't the case? And his response to that simply was, well, yeah. So basically, animals like tigers and lions and stuff, yeah, they just pretty much don't get to exist. And the crazy thing is, it's not even just carnivorous animals. I mean, not herbivores, well, herbivores too, but omnivores, they eat both meat and plants. And then you also have herbivores that will occasionally decide, you know what, this grass is good, but it's getting a little plain. I'm gonna go over and chomp that mouse's head off, and that'll be my lunch for today. Yeah, that happens even in the herbivore families. Isn't that crazy? Now that herbivore is gonna have to stand trial before a judge and try to explain to the judge why, you know, killing that mouse shouldn't get them life in prison, right? Because that's totally something that could happen. But the point is, the way they see this world is that anything that eats other animals simply shouldn't be allowed to exist because they're harming other animals. They are not okay with other animals that naturally eat other animals. So that's that whole thing. But anyway, back to Tash Peterson. So recently she has received her sentencing for the situation that she created, the controversy that she created when she stormed a restaurant, I believe called Fire with a Y, and her and her deranged homies all decided to barge in here with their signs and their chants and their animal noises, like disturbing a bunch of people's dinners, the restaurant's business. Like they were literally just being completely awful, like just public nuisances to the absolute maximum. And rightfully so, the manager, I think the chef that might actually own the restaurant, made sure to boot their asses out and not let them come back. Now, the reason they decided to protest this particular restaurant was because this restaurant had banned all vegans, which was a great decision and a really, really, really logical one as well, and it's a very good financial one, is because due to this situation unfolding with Tash Peterson, they ended up getting a lot more business. And the reason that they banned all vegans in the first place is because there is a vegan that was upset that they didn't have vegan options. Keep in mind, this is a steak house, so why are you even there in the first place? Kind of a weird choice. But like, here's the thing, I say that, but I know there's like some vegan people that will like go hang out with their friends and they might go to like a steakhouse and just hope that there's some vegan options. You should look beforehand, but it is a steakhouse, it is not a tomato house. You know what I'm saying? Like, chances are there may not be something to your liking. Maybe they'll have like a salad, like no meat, but like your options aren't going to be great, so that should be expected. But they were upset and they wrote this restaurant a nasty review. Okay, and the restaurant owner wasn't happy about that. They're like, well, this is kind of bullshit. You gave me a shitty review just because I didn't have vegan options. Like, it had nothing to do with the food itself, nothing to do with the restaurant. You were just upset because we weren't going to accommodate you at a fucking steakhouse. Have you like being pissed off at an amusement park for not having a zoo? Like, hey, what the fuck? This fucking amusement park doesn't have fucking tigers and lions and stuff for me to look at. This place sucks. This place stinks. You know, it just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't add up. So anyway, so Tash Peterson, Vegan Booty, was like, you know what? We're not going to stand for this. We're going to go protest this restaurant. We're going to go shit all over them. And they tried that. And this is what it looks like.
The screens aren't playing. The sounds you hear now are pigs screaming for their lives inside carbon dioxide gas chambers. They burn from the inside out. You're responsible for their murder if you're not vegan, and their blood is on your hands. Animals want to live. Animals want to live. Watch Dominion on YouTube for the truth. Animals want to live. Animals feel pain. Animals have families. Their bodies. Their lives. Their milk. Their eggs. Animals want to live. Come on, animals feel pain. Their bodies. Their lives.
So this was the initial protest at the Fire restaurant that got Vegan Booty and her goons banned in the first place. So they did come back a second time, which we'll get to later. But obviously, this is extremely problematic because she goes inside the restaurant with her band of goonies and decide to start chanting, it's not our bodies, it's theirs, you know, talking about the gas chambers and stuff, which is actually a point that I think is actually fair to discuss. I don't think necessarily some poor dude's restaurants where he's just trying to make a living for himself and his employees is the place to do this. But yeah, you know, I looked into that gas chamber thing because honestly, I was pretty ignorant about like what goes on in certain slaughterhouses or certain parts of the industry. And I was like, does the gas chamber thing actually really happen? And yeah, apparently it does. Estimated 90% of pigs are actually killed in gas chambers with CO2, like she said. And I guess the meat industry believes this to be a humane way of killing pigs, you know, secession. But the thing is, if they are not, you know, asleep, knocked out, whatever, you know, beforehand, then yeah, that is pretty evil, because inhaling CO2 in large quantities is going to make you literally suffocate and slowly die, and that is not exactly what I would call humane. So let's take one moment to agree with one thing here with Vegan Booty, and that this sort of practice is not okay, and that she is totally right for protesting this sort of thing. Like, yeah, this should not be allowed. This is disgusting and actually truly fucking evil. But then you gotta remember, she's choosing to do this at some random guy's restaurant. Like, I don't think this affects like the industries that are actually performing these acts at all. I mean, the odds of them even having this come across their YouTube feed seems extremely low. So that is just a massive waste of effort and just purely stupid. Like, clearly this is being done for attention, and I don't think their goal, it just doesn't seem like their goal is to actually do anything about this, because this is just not the way to do it. Obviously there's people that are going to see this, but the people that are going to see this are people that aren't going to have any sort of impact on changing this. Like, what they should be doing would maybe peacefully protesting in a way that doesn't disrupt business, that doesn't cause you to do any sort of legal infractions that's going to get you sent to jail, which is what this basically did, because she did get arrested for her trespassing at this restaurant more than once. And it's just very interesting that these vegan activists think that going after just your regular person and trying to have a nice dinner, your restaurant owners and stuff like that, is somehow going to help their cause, because it's not. All you're doing is deterring even more people from veganism. Every single person at a restaurant is looking at you like, God, this fucking lunatic, seriously? Like, how dare you? You know, the gall, the audacity to come in here and just ruins everybody's dinner like some entitled fucking brat. But anyway, that's what she did here. Let's have a look at her actually getting escorted out of the property.
Watch Dominion on YouTube for the truth! Listen to their screams! Animal abusers! Total losers! They're bodies! Animals want to live! Animals feel pain! Their bodies! Their lives! Animals want to live! Animals feel pain! Their bodies! Their lives! Animals want to live! Don't touch me. Don't touch the camera. Their bodies! Their lives! Animals want to live! Animals feel pain! Their bodies! Their lives! Animals want to live! Animals feel pain! Their bodies! Their lives! Animals want to live! Animals feel pain!
All right, so at this point, you guys get the picture. I mean, they get fucking thrown out there. Like the chef of this restaurant is like a professional bouncer, just like tossing them all out like children one by one. Honestly, I thought that guy was awesome. I mean, I just can't even imagine the frustration this poor man must have felt. But at the same time, Vegan Booty really helped his restaurant, because he benefited from this a lot. Like, the amount of business he got, I think he said like was like double or like triple or something after this incident. accent, which is just amazing. So, you know, thank you to Tash Peterson for that, which is really, really ironic, right? Because the whole thing is like protesting the consumption of meat and animal products, and all you really did was make it so that more people were like, you know what, that T-bone steak I said I wasn't gonna have tonight, you know what, let's go to fire. That sounds good. You know, it's really ironic. It's honestly hilarious, and I just love to see that, because it's, and the crazy thing is they're so delusional that I bet you they went home that night. I bet Tosh snuggled up in her little bed with a little smile on her face, like, yeah, I made an impact today. I made a difference. You know, I really made some people go vegan, didn't I? I did a good job. I'm doing the Lord's work. But it's just so silly when literally the exact opposite effect is definitely what has occurred in this situation. Anyway, now the reason you clicked on this video. So Miss Tash Peterson, Miss Vegan Booty, was actually fined because she was arrested for this incident when she came back, which I'm not gonna bother showing you guys that, just more of that nonsense of them playing animal noises. And the animal noises, I'm pretty sure got one of my videos demonetized. So this one you can't hear it as much as the previous clips I showed you, but in the next, and then the ones where she came back, you can hear it very clearly. So I'm not gonna show those. But anyway, they came back, and even though they were banned, so this time they were arrested, and she was sued, and she had to go to court and everything. And then just a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that, she was actually sentenced, not to jail, but to 30 hours of community service, as well as a fine of like $2,500-ish. And you know, she was definitely, I'd say, humbled from this experience, because she's also kind of on a little bit of a probation, kind of, and that she can't leave Western Australia for 6 months. And if she does anything else shady, like, she will be facing jail time. So if you noticed, a lot of her videos after about 9 months ago, there's actually another protest that she did that's pretty absurd, which I will be making a video on probably later this week. She seemed to have toned down quite a bit on the actual activism, like actively going out there and protesting, whereas now she just kind of like interviews people and like tries to be as annoying and as belligerent as possible, and you know, the typical like, oh, you're an animal abuser, fuck you, I hate you, you're a psychopath. Crazy, right? I know.
Killing bugs to have your fields.
You're really, really good at deflecting, and I'm going to have to end this conversation because I actually don't want to talk to an animal abusing psychopath anymore, so you can fuck off.
Calling people psychopaths coming from her, that's a laugh. Anyway, but so yeah, I'll just show you guys her interpretation of the punishment she has received from the state.
I have been convicted with 3 criminal offences as a result of a protest that I did last year at a restaurant who had banned all vegans from their venue. I've received $2,500 in fines and a community-based order which requires me to do 30 hours of community service, and I am under this order for a period of 6 months, which means I cannot leave the state of Western Australia, and basically I'm in big shit if I commit another criminal offence. Activists all across the world who speak up for non-human animals are silenced by the legal system and do everything in their power to deter animal rights activists from continuing their activism. However, this will not deter us from speaking up for non-human animals, and will never stop bringing awareness to the slavery, rape, torture, abuse and murder that non-human people are subjected to because of non-vegan.
Dude, it is absolutely wild how these vegan activists always try to like play the victim with like, oh man, what do you mean I can't go around breaking the law and disrupting private businesses and making an absolute fool of myself and being a public nuisance and all this nonsense, you know? Like, it's, what do you mean I can't do that? This is free speech, don't we? Well, here's the thing, that shit doesn't really apply when you go into a privately owned establishment and your sole purpose is basically to just disrupt the business and you know, affect people's livelihood and things of that nature. Yes, you're not really protected when it comes to this sort of thing. I don't know if you knew that or not, but you sure as hell do now, and hopefully you take that to heart and don't do this fucking shit again. And I think it's great the way they slapped this don't mess up again again kind of penalty on her. She doesn't explicitly say like what kind of consequences she'd have to deal with if she does make some sort of infraction while kind of being on this like probation period, but that will definitely deter her from doing any crazy stunts like this for a while, and that definitely does seem to be the case, which is wonderful. But another thing I just want to talk about in this like little last part is I hate when she refers to animals as non-human people, non-human animals, whatever, dude. It's like they always find these crazy bizarre ways to try to like convince you that animals are one-to-one with people. It's just not the case. It never has been. It never will be. A cow isn't a human, okay? Like, you cannot argue that. You can try to argue that all day, every day, but 99% of people are going to tell you a cow is not a gosh darn human. Stop trying to act like they are. Stop trying to act like they should have human rights. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. Until the day a cow can stand trial before a jury, that's the day a cow can pay taxes, like they're not human.
Excuse me, what did you call me?
Yeah, you're going. Get the camera off. Get the f*** off me.
Oi! What the fuck? It's disgusting what they just did to him.
You know better. It's not your first rodeo.
Mother dairy cows are and forcibly impregnated.
Alright guys, I want you all to play a very quick game with me. I know it sounds weird, but bear with me for just a moment. I want you to raise your left hand like this, and then lower one finger for each of these things that you've done. Oh, and to test the whole people will argue about literally anything theory, your thumb doesn't count as a finger. Feel free to argue in the comments. Alright, let's play. I've never been kicked out of a store.
User, he plugged me. You have the right to know the truth. Watch Dominion on YouTube.
I've never been kicked out of a restaurant.
You're not vegan. You're an animal abuser. Watch Dominion on YouTube for the truth.
I've never been kicked out of a bull ring.
He grabbed me by the back of my collar and the back of my shorts, giving me a massive wedgie.
I've never been kicked out of an entire city in Australia. Now, I can guarantee that none of you have no fingers left. Unless, of course, you're everyone's favorite public nuisance, the Jack Doherty of veganism, Tash Peterson, aka Vegan Booty, who is back once again to literally nobody's surprise with her ridiculous vegan shit show shenanigans, crashing parties like a police raid at a Diddy freak off. She is and always will be the one clown that you don't want to show up at the circus. You'd better pray that she calls in sick, because she will ruin every show she arrives uninvited to. A parade, a birthday party, a dog show, her own wedding, you name it. But thankfully, the law has struck again and brought forth the justice hammer, sending her and her annoying ass vegan boyfriend straight to the slammer.
A teenage girl? Patty the teenage girl!
So are you guys familiar with that lyrical masterpiece Moo by Doja Cat? Well, there's this really clever line in it. I ain't in the city because they ain't got lawns. Well, Vegan Booty ain't in the city because she's banned.
Cows enslaved in the dairy industry are raped and forcibly impregnated. After a 9-month pregnancy, when she gives birth, her baby is kidnapped from her so you can steal her milk. If her baby is born male, he's bludgeoned to death or sent to a slaughterhouse just days to weeks old. These babies should be with their mothers right now drinking their milk. Every year in Australia alone, over 1 million male bobby calves are murdered in the dairy industry. The baby girls endure the same life of slavery, repeated rape and forcible impregnation, and she'll be sent to a slaughterhouse just 4 to 7 years of age. If you're not vegan, you pay for rape, slavery, torture, abuse, and murder.
First off, I have a lot to say, but I just want to point out right out the gate that those cows look so comfortable, even despite having the crazy vegan lady like screaming around them. Like they're just straight chilling, like living their best life over there. They obviously look extremely well taken care of, but you know, obviously they don't care about that sort of thing. They never did, and they never will. And let me just say, they always say this thing about like the baby male cows being killed right away. It does happen to some of them, that's true, but the majority of of them end up, you know, living for a good few years before they become, you know, hamburgers and steak and stuff, right? Like, obviously they don't all get killed because, like, where the fuck are we getting our steak from? Like, that was like one of the most obvious, like, stupid things that she's said. It's so dumb. I get it. They want to exaggerate as much as they can. They want to point out the worst of the absolute worst, which is weird because they don't ever go and attack the worst of the absolute worst. They always actually end up attacking the best of the farming industry, you know, the local farmers that take good care of their cows and give them free reins to move around and be cows and live their lives up until, you know, they can't anymore because they have to be processed and, you know, so that people can have food on their dinner plates and the proteins and stuff like that in their bodies. I mean, I've already said this a million times, but this sort of thing will never ever get through these vegan activists' heads, dude. They're insane. They're never going after the real problem, the real bad, the big scary dudes at the top that are actually giving animals really tough, hard, terrible lives. You know, all the things that you preach about and this Holocaust bullshit that you're always talking about, these aren't the people to blame. Like, you're literally disrupting an event where, like, the guy, he explained, like, the animals are very, you know, they're pampered and well taken care of and all of that. And that should, honestly, that should put a smile on your face, because you should recognize, like, hey, this is never going to stop. Like, people are never going to stop eating meat, but thank goodness that these farmers are taking good care of their animals, you know? And then obviously, yeah, they gotta die, but they do it in the most humane ways that they can possibly do. And then there's the milk thing. She's saying, oh, these baby cows should be drinking their mother's milk, but no, they've been taken away from their mothers to go do this. And how do you think they got to that size? How do you think they develop into the young little calves that they are today, right? The ones that you're looking at, they're not freshly newborns that are like dehydrated and malnourished and suffering because they've just been deprived of the necessities to grow and live. I mean, how do you think, like, what do you think they're feeding them? Like, what do you feed a baby cow other than milk from its mother? Like, this is the craziest thing. So like I said, they always take the extremes. They never try to actually present things as they are. These cows drink their mother's milk. And the thing is about the mothers, they are bred to produce a lot of fucking milk, okay? More than they can handle and more than their little babies can drink. Like, there's a surplus, and that's what the humans take. They take the surplus. And here's another thing. Cows don't produce much milk, nor do they produce very high quality milk if they're stressed out and not having a good time. So the fact that they have the surplus means that these cows are probably chilling, you know, living pretty decent lives, laying around in their hay and munching on some grass and stuff like that. That's where a cow wants to be, you know. And most of the cows, when they get in that slaughter line or whatever, where they do the little blow to the head, that's instant kill, by the way. I mean, they aren't stressed. They don't even know what's happening to them. I've seen it in videos. I mean, again, there's exceptions to this. I'm pointing out the best, and there's way worse where the cows do know what's coming their way. But either way, it's usually quick. The intention is to be pretty much instant so that the animals don't suffer. I believe there's actually laws against intentional suffering of the animals when they're being slaughtered, so they are protected. But again, that's not something that these vegans care about, because the fact of the matter is, these vegan activists, and for all vegans, just these activists like Tash Peterson, Vegan Gains, that vegan teacher, then one of the most notorious of them all, is that they don't give two fucks about the actual animals and their well-being, because they would rather see these dairy animals go extinct rather than have very healthy, pampered lives for 4 to 7 years before they are then, you know, turned into food, because that's what we've bred them to do. We've bred them to produce milk. We've bred them to produce food for us, which I know sounds awful, but it's much better than the alternative. We are omnivores. We got to get our meat intake. The majority of us have to get our meat intake. So it's in our best interest to just simply do it the best way that we can and the most ethical way that we can, so that animals suffer the least amount possible. I'd be a way better vegan than you. I mean, this is the kind of thing I'd be advocating for, was like, hey, let's make sure the animals get treated well and that they don't have really horrible lives and that they're not tortured and confined in small spaces where they can't even move their muscles, right? That's the kind of thing that we should be looking for. That's the kind of, because that's the only realistic reform. Trying to convert everybody to veganism is a fucking dream at best. It is not anything rooted in reality. It's never going to happen. You're never going to change people's hearts and minds to the point where they care more about the lives of some random dairy cow than their own. You can convince people to care about the well-beings of them up until they turn into food, and even then, like, making sure that that's as quick and painless as possible, because I'm like, what's the alternative? That they're murdered by a predator where they have to be eaten alive for 15-20 minutes? That doesn't sound like a good fate. If I was a cow and my options were, hey, get killed by a wolf, you know, you might live one extra year, but you know, you have to be eaten to death for 15-20 minutes, or just die instantly randomly after having a very, very good pampered life. I'm going with that option.
Watch Dominion on YouTube for the truth. These babies should be with their mothers, but they're not, so you can have dairy products. Stop supporting this violence.
No, what violence is she talking about? Are we at the same royal show? Because, well, I mean, I'm not there, but like I'm witnessing it from, you know, my perspective with my eyes and everything. But, you know, I'm just saying, to me, it doesn't look like there's all that much violence going on. Like, look, those cows look like they're just straight chilling. Like, honestly, the only violence I think they're experiencing is the fucking ear torture that you've inflicted upon them.
Animals want to live. Just like us. Animals feel pain. Just like us. Their bodies. Not ours. Their lives. Not ours. Their milk. Not ours. Their bodies. Not ours. Excuse me, what did you call me?
Yo, y'all need to give my boy Fred here a raise, because he is spitting nothing but straight facts. I personally wouldn't call, you know, a young, classy lady the C word, but I won't hold it against him. You know, you say your piece, brother. I'm with you. Go off, King.
What, you're responsible for the rape of mothers?
Find out some truth, you dumb bitch.
Okay, so why are the babies separated from their mothers? Why aren't they with their mothers?
They are well and truly looked after.
Why are the babies separated from their mothers and sent to a slaughterhouse?
Because if you...
Sent to a slaughterhouse.
You're going.
Dairy cows are raped and forcibly impregnated. After a 9-month pregnancy, when she gives birth, her baby is kidnapped from her. If he's born male, he's bludgeoned to death or sent to a slaughterhouse just days to weeks old.
Get the camera off him. Get the fuck off me.
Oi!
Let's go. Hey!
Oi! What the fuck? What the fuck? This is so wrong.
Get off. Tash, get off.
Please do.
Let go of the camera.
We will comply if you do not steal our property.
Let go of the camera.
We will comply if you do not steal our property.
I'm handing it to the police. Let go of the property. Let go yourself. Why? It's my property. I haven't done anything.
What the fuck?
What have I done? Tell me what I've done.
Oh, well, I mean, I know the police here are being a little bit quiet, but I can answer that question for you, what you've done. You and your silly little vegan girlfriend broke into a place where neither of you are allowed to be. You were banned from this area. You were escorted out multiple times. You were trespassed, which is why you got in there with your goofy little disguises, because you knew that the people would recognize you. And that was the only way that you were going to be able to get in there. By the way, great disguises. I think that was a really, really clever idea. I mean, you know, a lot of times you don't see things that you see in like TV shows and cartoons and stuff come to the real life, but there it is for everybody to see. And I thought that was a wonderful move. Probably the best thing that you did in this video. So, you know, props to you. But yeah, you and your disruptive, goofy ass vegan boyfriend who both need to get on some B12 supplements, or maybe just, you know, have a nice steak or something like that, or some chicken, so that mineral can get into your brain and hopefully fix the damage that these vegan diets have done to you over, you know, the couple of years. You guys can't think straight. You can't even like fathom what you're doing wrong when you're literally like very conscious of it, considering you knew you were banned from this and you weren't supposed to do anything like this again. And here you are, you've returned, and you're doing exactly what you're not supposed to be doing. You're like, oh, I don't know what's going on. What did I do? I didn't do nothing. Like, yeah, you sound like a complete fucking moron. That's all I got for you.
Can someone please call the police? This is so wrong, please. They put him in a headlock. It's disgusting. It's disgusting what they're doing to him. Please just get them off him. He didn't do anything wrong. Please, just get them off him. Please. Can you please just make sure he's okay?
It's disgusting. It's actually disgusting. It's disgusting what they just did to him.
Gosh, the way she goes from like tough protester mode to big crybaby is crazy. I mean, yeah, your boyfriend got thrown to the ground and tossed around like some salad a little bit, but he's okay. I mean, it's not like they're like pummeling him, beating the living daylights of him. I mean, this was probably one of the most mild like police detainings ever. I mean, they kind of wrestled him to the ground a little bit because I mean, he wasn't complying clearly, but this really wasn't that bad. I don't know why you're crying like a little 4-year-old. Like, oh my God, is he okay? Like, good Lord, he's fine. Also, considering that you guys were clearly trespassed from this area, you were committing a crime. Your phones and all that stuff is now evidence. That is now property of the police until, you know, their investigation that they're gonna have to do is completed. So yeah, you gotta forfeit that crap. You dug your hole, and now you gotta lie in that bitch.
You know better. Like, it's not your first rodeo.
Mother dairy cows are raped and forcibly impregnated. When she gives birth, her babies are kidnapped from her. Imagine having your baby ripped away from you and your breast milk stolen. Every year in Australia, 1 million male bobby calves just days old are bludgeoned to death, or they're sent to a slaughterhouse with their throats slit. This is what you support if you're not vegan. Please
Watch the Curl King on YouTube.
Stop supporting rape, slavery, torture, abuse, and murder. This is what you support if you're not vegan. Animals want to live just like us. We are non-violent activists trying to stop a Holocaust!
Gosh, can I get an eye roll, please? That was tough to watch. Not for the reasons that you think, Tash Peterson, but for the reasons that my audience would think, because she's just so insufferable. Of course, she's got to end this. I'm trying to end the Holocaust! Oh my God, shut up. No, you're not. You guys don't give a fuck about animals. The Holocaust would actually be if people stopped eating these animals and released them into the wild, and then they all died from starvation and being hunted. That would be more of a Holocaust, because that would actually lead to the extermination of these creatures, which is what you guys want, because that's clearly the path that you think we should take, right? But you know, who am I to make the call on that? And also, I just want to say, gosh, she is fighting tooth and nail, you know, from the moment she's getting dragged, I mean, all the way out, the whole time, just shouting, just nothing, over and over and over again, just nonsense, just this crazy, ridiculous vegan propaganda is out of this fucking world. I mean, it's just so insane that she's like, if you're not vegan, you support all of these horrible things. Like, how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, lady? That's simply not true. I don't know if you can grasp this concept, but I'm not vegan. Most people aren't vegan, and I think the majority of us don't support those horrific things that you've outlined. You just cannot accept things as they are without exaggerating them to the absolute worst that your silly little vegan brain can possibly imagine. And it's just not true. This is why we clown on you goofballs, because you guys really believe this. I don't know if you really believe this. I think you're actually just delusional. I think you went vegan, you were probably an otherwise fairly normal person, but then the lack of B12 and vitamin A and the other important nutrients just started to really mess with your brains and the chemistry and all that stuff, and now you're all just a bunch of crazy lunatics. I mean, it can't just be a coincidence, right? It's a trend. Like, it's happening for a reason. I feel like there has to be some sort of cause, some sort of correlation, you know? Maybe some study really needs to be done on this, because there really isn't that much studying that has happened in the last few years. Mostly people just don't give a shit about vegans and veganism as a whole. They just kind of scoff at it. They're like, I don't want to waste my time with that stupid shit. But like, gosh, seriously, like, somebody really needs to do an in-depth, thorough study on like how these vegan diets actually affect people's brains, because I really think, I mean, with the exception to Vegan Gains, I mean, he was always crazy. I mean, the guy was talking about stomping babies' heads to death. I don't think he's been vegan his whole life, but I mean, at the same time, maybe this did come from him. Maybe he has been vegan for the majority of his life, and then that was just a consequence of it. But I really don't know his origin that well. I just know he said some extremely out-of-pocket things, and so have the rest of them. Last week, I made a video about Tash Peterson and how she was trying to raise $30,000 so she could attend a vegan campout, whatever that is, in the United Kingdom. Of course, she set her goal to just a little over 5,000, so it seemed like she knew she was never going to get there. And I theorized that perhaps some shady business was going on behind the scenes, and as of her recent update, it's only confirmed my suspicion even more. Now, she was supposed to go to this event to give some shitty speech, while continuing to have an overall negative impact on veganism as a whole, just as you'd expect. However, she was just straight up denied. And honestly, I can't even imagine why.
You're no different to a Nazi serial killer. Louis Vuitton are responsible for the murder of cows, sheep, goats, horses, pigs, dogs, and bees. Get out! Why are you so triggered? If you were happy and proud of your truth, watch Dominion on YouTube. See what really happens to these beings. Animal abusers! Total losers!
Abusers! Animal abuser!
Hey! Oi! What the fuck? What the fuck? This is so wrong! Green! What the fuck is wrong with you? You're laughing! You fucking psychopath! You smile to the blood in your eyes when you piece of shit!
Yeah, no, I still don't get it. Why would they deny her entry into the United Kingdom? Why wouldn't they want her to come there? Well, probably for a couple of reasons, honestly. First off, they're not really big on protesting in the UK right now. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about in the censorship and things going on over there, might I refer you to my main channel, The Curl King. I've been talking about that quite a lot over the last couple of weeks, so that's a good place to get that information. Now, obviously, she's also a criminal. She's a belligerent asshole. She has committed so many crimes in Australia and has gotten away with pretty much all of them except for the defamation thing, which she is paying dearly for, which has sent her into bankruptcy, which is an awesome win for everybody else but her and her dickhead boyfriend. But anyway, I'll let her tell you in her own words.
My UK visa has been rejected because of my criminal record. The letter from the UK Home Office has declined my entry to the UK because I've had convictions in the past 12 months for criminal damage and disorderly conduct, despite this just being days away from this period ending. Additionally, I've also been rejected because my record shows that I'm a repeat offender. If I continue to commit offences, I will never be allowed to enter the UK again. This is interesting because 2 years ago, despite having a criminal record, I was allowed to enter the UK after being held at customs, interrogated and searched by police and border security. The thing is, I don't commit offences to cause harm. I'm a non-violent activist fighting to end the exploitation of non-human people. And because of my bankruptcy, in order to leave Australia, I would have had to pay a $30,000 bond to my trustee to prevent me from fleeing the country. Last week, I began to raise those funds so I could go to the UK vegan campout. But due to these circumstances, I'll be giving all donations to Farm Transparency Project, the creators of Dominion. So for now, I'll hand my passport back to my trustee and continue my mission to end the animal holocaust.
She's a non-violent activist. Oh, is she? Like, she didn't upload a video of herself actually attacking someone else. Well, a couple videos, honestly.
Assaulting me! Stop assaulting me! Don't fucking assault me!
Get off, man.
Don't fucking assault me!
Are you serious?
Are you fucking serious? If you fucking assault me, you leave me alone!
Tash,
Leave animals alone!
Tash, stop.
Yeah, try again, because that was straight cap. And regardless of if you're non-violent or whatever, you're still breaking laws. Like, you're still a criminal. Just because you did these criminal actions in the name of animal liberation, veganism, whatever, doesn't make them not crimes. Like, you really think that if you went before a judge and you're like, well, you see, Your Honor, I only broke into this store, stole all of the animals out of it, burned the place down to the ground, and then you stand before a judge at your trial, you really think they're gonna hit you with oh yes, I see you did all of these terrible actions and irreparable damage to this business, all in the name of animal rights activism and liberation, so I'm gonna let you off easy, Miss Peterson. That's not how it works. Your crime is still a crime, no matter how you try to label it. You don't really get to do that. Just because in your delusional mind that you're committing crimes for what you believe to be a just cause, that doesn't make it reality. This is a fan fiction you've written in your own silly delusional mind. It's nothing more and nothing less. And just because you weren't denied access 2 years ago doesn't mean that the things you've done in the previous 2 years, which she's committed more crimes since those 2 years ago, that you're just going to be off the hook. Clearly they didn't want you coming there in the first place, but against their better judgment, allowed you in anyway. Honestly, I don't think she's going to be making it back into the UK ever again. She can't stop committing crimes to save her life.
Unfortunately, we will not be attending the UK vegan campout this year due to my visa being rejected. This did come as a surprise because I was told by my visa agent, due to the fact that my convictions are related to animal rights activism and the nature of those offences being minor, that I would have a high chance of that visa being accepted, and obviously I was allowed into the UK 2 years ago. I will still be doing my vegan campout speech via a video.
It is a shame that we won't be there this year because we really enjoyed our time there in 2023, getting to meet you all and doing activism with the amazing activism community in the UK. We're also really grateful for all the money that was raised for the GoFundMe to get us over there. We have around $5,000 in there, and as Tash has mentioned, we will be donating this to Farm Transparency Project.
Yeah, the team at FTP need these donations more than ever, so we're actually going to keep the GoFundMe up and continue raising money for them. They really need it more than ever. Chris Delforce has just had his home raided and belongings confiscated because he's exposed piggeries all across Australia. And they also have just had a bad outcome with a civil court case. So please continue to donate so we can help the team at FTP.
Fingers crossed we'll be at the Vegan Campout UK next year.
All right, we have like 3 particular things to talk about from this segment. So first off, her visa agent or whatever fucking lying to you. Either that or you made this shit up to make yourself feel better. There is no way that your visa agent said, yeah, because you committed these crimes under the name of animal liberation, it's not really going to be that big of a deal. Like, we can very clearly see that it was good intentioned crime. That's not how it works. Like, you don't get to just commit crimes and say, well, I did it for this reason, and then just be excused. That's not how it works. You still committed those crimes. You really think that the UK is going to see it as any differently? You know, disruption of business, defaming a veterinary clinic, running around butt naked at a Louis Vuitton. You really think they're gonna be like, well, she did it because she was trying to save animals, so like, it's all good. That's not how it fucking works. So that's either a lie or your visa agent has no idea what the hell they're talking about. Now, secondly, she really thinks this is a surprise. Really? Who would have imagined if committing crimes might get you blacklisted in another country? Who would have thunk? Being able to travel to other countries is a privilege, not a right. If they see you as an undesirable alien, then you're not welcome. That's all there is to it. If they don't want you, you're not coming. If you commit crimes, why would they want you in their country? Why would they openly want a criminal to come to their country? That doesn't make any sense. You are a criminal. No matter how you want to spin it, how you want to deflect, how you want to cope, at the end of the day, you are a criminal and so is your dickhead boyfriend. Now, regarding the Farm Transparency Project, I don't believe, honestly, that they're going to donate that money to them. I think they're just using this opportunity as a cash grab from you, the fans, because if that was the case, why was the goal never set to 30K? It was set to 5.5. If they needed 30K to pay their bond and leave the country, what would it have mattered if they met the 5.5K goal? That wouldn't have got them there ever. The goal was never to leave, clearly, if that isn't reflected in the GoFundMe. It just doesn't make any sense. I really think they're getting off on people and being sleazy as hell. And they picked an organization who doesn't have many people behind them, that isn't particularly well known. And if they don't proceed with giving them that money, nobody is going to know. I think her entire fan base just got conned. And honestly, if you're dumb enough to donate to Tash Peterson, you deserve to get conned straight up. I have no sympathy for any of those people who just lost their money to these assholes. Now, regarding the Farm Transparency Project and them being raided, this is a true story. This genuinely happened. And it's so bizarre that they are supposedly trying to support these people when they're actually criminals themselves. I guess criminals must stick together. Seriously, The Farm Transparency Project, which they didn't mention, the leader of it, had his home raided because he has a bunch of illegal footage from cameras that they illegally placed throughout a bunch of these slaughterhouses. They invaded private locations, trespass on private property, placed objects in private locations, filmed without consent, permission, etc., literally conducted an entire illegal operation, and that's why they got raided. But what's so bizarre is that the Farm Transparency Project, who put out a statement about the raid, didn't say anything about their criminal actions. Tash didn't say anything about their criminal actions. They just were like, oh, we're being raided because we exposed animal exploitation. That's the only reason, guys. They didn't like what they saw. They're scared of us. No, you tell yourselves and your fucking cult following assholes so that they feel hyped up and they're like, yeah, this is injustice, and they side with you. You don't want them to see the actual dirty and ugly of it, that you guys were committing crimes like a fucking mob and are getting punished for it. They were literally told not to release this footage, and they were going to do it anyway, illegally. So of course, actions have consequences. The fact that this hasn't happened sooner is beyond me, and I think it's because the Australian police are a bunch of fucking jokes, because they almost never do anything about these blatant crimes being committed right in front of them. The entire Dominion documentary is a documentation of their crimes. Joey Carbstrong's entire existence is committing crimes by filming in places where he's not supposed to be, sneaking in cameras after hours, breaking into private organizations and conducting these actions, and yet he goes unpunished as well. But here's the actual information from an unbiased article, because I did read the article that the Farm Transparency Project put out, but they just made themselves seem like the victim the entire time, and they didn't even mention the fact that what they were doing was illegal and that they were committing crimes. Victoria Police raided the home of Farm Transparency Project Director Chris Delforce earlier this week. Mr. Delforce's Melbourne home was raided on Tuesday, August 12th. Farm Transparency Project's founding director Chris Delforce has been raided by police this morning at his home in Melbourne, Narm, and had his phone and computer seized, the group wrote on its Instagram page. The raid is in response to footage of animal cruelty published by FTP earlier this year, captured by anonymous investigators of 20 piggeries across the state of Victoria. The raid came a day before the group was banned from ever publishing footage taken illegally inside a Victorian abattoir and had to hand over the copyright of the images in a landmark case. The ruling was handed down on Wednesday following a federal court of Australian appeal by game meats company GMC to stop the group from publishing a 14-minute long video taken by hidden cameras last year. Animal activists from FTP trespassed in the GMC abattoir at Yurban on 7 occasions, planting hidden cameras and capturing the footage which made up the 14-minute video, which FTI sent to the Federal Department of Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry, and also published on its website. In a statement on its website, FTP said it was exploring options to appeal the decision. We're currently exploring options to appeal the decision to the High Court. However, no matter the judgment today or in the future, we will continue to expose the reality of what happens to animals behind closed doors, regardless of the industry spheres, expressed quite unambiguously by GMC in this case about how damaging such footage might be for their reputation, it stated. So again, they're just blatantly breaking the law, right? They're blatantly trespassing, they're filming illegal footage, they're creating documentaries out of it, and they were banned from publishing this, and they're like, we're gonna do it anyway. Yeah, that's definitely grounds for the police to raid you and seize the property that has this illegal footage. You can't do that. No matter how much you convince yourself that you're quote-unquote doing the right thing, unfortunately you're not. Especially when they're so disingenuous, and they literally go to places with the intention of finding the absolute worst of the worst, and then they use that to paint a picture for all of the farming industry. Which, if the entire backbone of your operation is lying to people, then you don't have a very good operation. So just when you thought Tash Peterson couldn't possibly get more disturbing, she found a way, she found a way. That was a Drake and Josh reference for those of you too old or too young to know. But for those of you around my age, you know. Anyway, she did find a way. Like, legitimately, I mean that. And I find myself at this crossroads sometimes when I come across, vegan teacher, Tash Peterson content, right? Of like, whether I should be shocked or not. It's a dilemma almost. It's like, yes, they did something even more ridiculous than the last time, something that I would have never conjured in my own little brain. And it makes you wonder, how the fudge do they do it, And that's the part that shocks me. It's not the action itself, but it's how that they came up with something that I would have never thought of. In this video, Tash is just being a looney, an absolute looney. She is using animal exploitation like a prop. I mean, she's already done that. She uses animal exploitation like a prop all the time. We already know that. The way she's doing is so unbelievably distasteful. You know what? Why am I even bothering giving you guys this exposition? I feel like I'm saying things I've already said before, and it's like, it's not really emphasizing how crazy this one is. You know what? I'll just let you see it. Fuck it. I'll just let you see it.
So we've just arrived at a studio in Sydney that my friends hired out because we're doing a fucking awesome photo shoot today. So let's go in and do this. The amazing photographer, Chrissy. She's also an animal rights activist.
Awesome photographer.
Thank you.
So let's get into it. What have you got?
Fake ice creams. We're gonna get glammed up to be a creepy Dairy Queen person, right? A milkmaid. Gonna have some blood coming out in the dairy to represent the rape, torture, abuse, and murder in the dairy industry. So these are pretty fucking cool.
Excuse me? There's a lot to unpack here. There's a lot to unpack in this single, 40 seconds of footage I showed you. First off, why does she seem so excited, so happy to do this, right? Well, more on that later. But she begins by saying this is going to be an awesome photo shoot, right? And now she's super excited about the fake ice cream and posing as a creepy Dairy Queen person, someone that likes Dairy Queen, you creepy fuck you. But the whole time you just see this insanity, this crooked, vile witchness in her eyes. She's maniacal, legitimately maniacal. I think she gets some sort of satisfaction from cosplaying as the evil that she set out to destroy. It's like she likes walking in their shoes, and exaggerating it to such great degrees, covering herself in blood to represent the rape, torture, and murder. And she's saying this all with a smile on her face. It's like she enjoys it, the concept. I think the real creepy, scary person here is actually Tash. No sane, normal individual is like, yeah, I can't wait to dress up, cover myself in fake blood, eat fake ice cream, and represent rape, torture, and murder for fun, and this is gonna be an awesome photo shoot. That is ridiculous. That is just alarming. Now, I've already said it many times. Tash is a lunatic. She absolutely belongs in the loony bin, right next to her faux vegan mother, that vegan teacher. Now, I've seen some disgusting protests from her before. There was a time where she hung herself upside down, covered in blood and naked, in between cow carcasses. And I'm not going to show you that because it's extremely disturbing. Many of the things in this video are quite disturbing, so make sure you're prepared for that. And if you're currently eating, please stop because you will regret it.
That looks rough.
Even trying to do dead eyes and flat.
Tip your head a bit, that's it. More over the top. That's great. Perfect.
Oh, we love our cows. They're part of the family. We care for them, feed them, even give them names. And when the time comes, we take their babies away, hook them up to our machines, and take what's ours. It's nothing personal, of course. It's just business. And after they've given us everything, we send them on a little holiday to the slaughterhouse. It's the least we can do for our girls.
Are you disturbed? Well, good, because I am too. And not for the reasons that Tash Peterson wants you to be disturbed. She wants you to be disturbed because of the concept itself of, you know, the reality that she's trying to show of what people are doing when they consume dairy, right? Contributing to all of these flashes that she's showing of animal slaughter, etc., right? I mean, I don't know about you, but personally, I'm not disturbed about that in particular. I'm disturbed about the way she's using animal exploitation like a sick joke. I mean, using this as promotional material for veganism is the most backwards, outright, ridiculous, stupid, dumb thing I have ever seen. In what world does somebody watch this and have the reaction of, oh my god, the humanity, I must be vegan from now on? In what world do they have that reaction over, wow, this bitch is disgusting. She is disturbing. This is so unbelievably distasteful. Using these instances of slaughter as some weird propaganda campaign. You know, I keep saying that there are better ways to help animals than this ridiculous nonsense. Because the truth is, this does so much more harm than good. When people watch this, you turn them off of veganism. You turn people who might actually be fence-sitting further and further away from veganism by doing this. Tash 100% has had a significantly more negative impact on veganism and animals as a whole than a positive one. She has turned hundreds of times more people away from veganism than she has converted by doing this disgusting, ridiculous, exploitative protests. And if you can even call it a protest, this is just sick. This is maniacal. I don't know how you and your vegan buddies, who you definitely discussed this with, came to the conclusion that this was a good idea. Like, what is their goal? I truly feel like they've lost the plot. The goal does not seem to be to reduce exploitation of animals. That's what veganism is, right? Doing the least amount of harm to animals as possible, and then this is activism, which is trying to achieve that goal, allegedly, but this seems to be so counterproductive. Like, I think they've just completely lost the plot. I don't think they're trying to do that at all anymore. At least, it doesn't seem that way, unless they've somehow convinced themselves that this is helping them reach that goal and are just too stupid and delusional to understand that it's quite the opposite. It's really hard to say.
All right, we're having a mid-shoot break, and we've got some incredible vegan donuts here. Look at these. No dairy, no eggs, no animal products, no abuse, torture, and murder. Cookie Monster. And he's got a cookie in his mouth. Oh my god. Which one should I have? They look fucking amazing. I feel like I always go for the basic one. Wow, this is fat. But more of a cake at the moment.
Yeah.
You got the drop sheet.
Wow, she looks so happy. Pure euphoria. While chomping down on those vegan donuts and dressed as a slaughterhouse worker while pretending to butcher animals. She looks so happy, like she was meant to be there. She's in her happy place. The place she feels the absolute best. Imagining herself covered in animal blood, chopping up animals. Puts a big, happy, beautiful smile on her face, doesn't it? It's so interesting to see the irony. When watching this, you would think somebody who cares so deeply about these animals and just wants to save them so bad, you would see pain, misery, dissatisfaction, some negative emotions on her face, but it looks like pure bliss in all of these moments. Like she's never been happier. Ow. How does such a heavy topic like this that supposedly it's just so morally unjust and makes you cry and makes your whole body shake at night, how does it put a smile on your face? When I was talking about this topic, of which I think many of you should consider watching, it's on my main channel. Some of you might have heard of it. It is about a murder that happened recently on a Ukrainian refugee here in the United States in Charlotte, North Carolina. When I was talking about that topic, I'm having a hard time talking about it right now, actually. It was painful just to make that video, but I just thought it was so important to spread awareness about. There's a lot of layers to this onion. I won't go into detail about it because this isn't really the time and place for this. It's supposed to be a kind of goofy video. I know she's talking about some very serious issues as well, you know, and showing literal animal slaughter, so it's not that goofy at the end of the day, but we are making fun of Tash. But anyway, the point is, you know, when I talk about a heavy topic, something that genuinely matters to me, hurts my soul, you can see it in my eyes, you can hear it in my voice. Like, you know that topic means something to me. When Tash is talking about this, I don't see any misery. I don't see sadness. I don't see any pain in her eyes. I don't hear it in her tone, her voice, nothing. And she really felt so deeply concerned and hurt by what was happening to animals. Embodying the evil that she set out to destroy should have some impact on her that you would be able to see if she was genuine. That just doesn't seem to be the case, does it? And I know some of you are probably thinking, well, Omni King, she's acting, so obviously you're not going to see those emotions seeping through if she's any good at it. But I'm not talking about in the scenes where she's clearly acting. I'm talking about the scenes where they're just filming her in her normal state while, you know, dressed as a slaughterhouse worker. You would think if she was a very genuine individual, she would at the very least allude to how doing this makes her feel, because if she was very genuine about being hurt by animal slaughter, things like that, that she would want to express that. She would want to express how genuine she felt about it. Just simply mentioning, yeah, doing this makes me really sad, you know, it breaks my heart, but it's something that I feel needs to be done so we can affect change. But you never hear anything sincere like that ever come out of her mouth. It's always, you're a murderer, this is the Holocaust, animal slaughter, watch Dominion on YouTube.
But I'm excited too. Yeah. You'll be fine. You're safe. You'll be fabulous.
That's the kind of discomfort you're going to feel.
Yeah.
You okay with that?
Yeah.
Ready when you are. So Julie, yeah, I did. Okay, just watch the chords.
Sorry.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay, lowering gently now. Lowering gently.
Okay. Do they need to be higher? Are you okay? Yeah. Maybe in a minute, couple of minutes. Yeah.
I guess I should have realized this sooner. This was a part of that preview that she showed before of that protest that she posted. I talked about early on in this video. Anyway, it's baffling to me. She can't even hide her excitement. The smile, she's like, she looks so happy doing this. Like she was born for this, you know? It's shocking to say the least. I just can't imagine someone who's genuinely disturbed and hates these actions of the meat and dairy industry and condemns them to the greatest degree would just look so happy and blissful while pretending to be a slaughterhouse worker, while covering themselves in what is supposed to represent the blood of these murdered animals, murdered in quotations. I don't get it. I don't understand it at all. And above all, I don't get how they really think that this is productive. Go to a fucking sanctuary, go donate some goddamn money, go take care of animals that actually need your help, go donate to an animal shelter, go volunteer at an animal shelter, go take care of some backyard chickens and get them out of the system. Assist the farmer in taking care of his animals or her animals and help them shear their sheep, help them herd their cattle. Go actually do something that helps animals for a change. Because this doesn't. This does the exact opposite, and you're doing much more harm than good to your quote-unquote cause. Something makes me really happy, you know? And it's the fact that Tash Peterson has failed to the greatest degree imaginable. Everyone knows that her vegan activism bullshit is all a sham. She's bankrupt, she's lost lawsuits, she can't even protest in public anymore without getting arrested and jailed. People are bullying her just like she's bullied people. It's over. The whole scheme has come toppling down and falling on its ass. And the entire veganism movement has lost steam to a great degree, especially in the activist spaces. At this point, she's become completely irrelevant. Her only relevancy on the internet is people making fun of her. She has become a lolcow, just like that vegan teacher.